Hi, I am Katie at the Fabric Squirrel, and I am here today as day 18 of the So Fruity vlog. It's hosted by Yvette from Blossom Sandwich, and she's also the founder of Stash Hub, who I have been using their magic mock-up in my last few videos. So when I saw that they were after vloggers throughout the month of June, I was like, yes, I've got a few ideas. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. So I have now already recorded and I have completed the project. So I thought I'd come on here first and just tell you a little bit about So Fruity, and yeah, a little bit more about the project and why I have chosen to share it as part of this challenge. So basically, you just need to create something out of fruity fabric and share it on the 30th of June. So it's a big reveal. Everyone shares everything on the last day of the month. Although I have made this skirt, I have got another project on the go, which is going to be my reveal. Hopefully, I'll have it finished by the end of the month. So this skirt hopefully is just a bit of inspiration if you wanted to sew something by the end of the month using some fat quarters you've got stashed. But I think you are gonna love this project anyway, whether it is part of this challenge or not. I've used 10 fat quarters. They are from the Mediterranean Medley collection by the Craft Cotton Company, and the collection isn't out yet, which is really annoying. So I did message them and I said, I'm going away and I think I would really be able to show the fabrics off for you if you've got any samples. And they only had fat quarters, but that was perfect because it just meant that I've made the skirt in a patchwork that I wasn't intending on doing. And I think it's actually worked out really well. So this skirt is really similar to one that I made this time last year, sort of May last year. I made it as a 3-tier in just one type of fabric, and I've been wanting to do a video to show you how I did it ever since. So this version I've just done with 2 tiers, but obviously you can just change the height of each of those tiers and do 2 or 3. So this one I've done is just with 2, and I really love the length of it. So I hope that you like the skirt. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to use up some of your fat quarters that coordinate together. Like I said, I've used 10 in total. So there were 8 prints and 2 of them I had more than 1 fat quarter of. And I used a little bit extra for the pockets as well. I am one of lots of different vloggers that have shared inspiration, so this is just mine as part of the challenge as well. There are loads of prizes to be won, so I'm giving away a £30 voucher, but there are literally dozens of other creative small businesses that are donating prizes, including some really big pattern companies that are giving away patterns and discounts on fabrics. I have given away a prize, but I've also got a coupon running throughout this month as well on my website. And it's not just on fruity fabric, it's on any fabric. So it's So Fruity 10. So if you're watching this video, then go and make use of using that discount code as well and treat yourself to some fabrics for the end of the month. I will now fast forward or rewind into when I recorded this video originally and show you how I created my skirt. I have been meaning to show you how I made this tiered skirt that I made this time last year, basically since I made it last year, and I have now got the perfect excuse. I've been sent some samples of this Mediterranean Medley collection from the Craft Cotton Company, and we happened to be going to Greece, and I just thought this would be the perfect fabric to make a patchwork version of this skirt. So I thought I would show you what I plan on doing. I am going to bring you straight over to the cutting table because I think this doesn't need to be any more complicated than it needs to be. I've got the fat quarter bundles because they didn't have anything bigger and the fabric has been delayed, so I don't actually have it on the bolts yet. I'm hoping to have it very soon. So I've got all these fat quarter bundles. Now pre-cut fat quarter bundles tend to be 45 centimetres tall and then they're half a bolt wide. So that tends to be about 55. So my plan is to cut these in half lengthways and then do like 1/3 and 2/3 So I'll measure it up and I'll make sure that it adds up. So this is this one. So it will be about this. So I'll end up with 2 bigger ones of each of the fabrics and 2 smaller ones of each of the fabrics. And then I'm going to place them in a way alternating. So there's a smaller, big one, and I'm going to make 2 tiers like this. And hopefully it will look patchworky enough. I will give you the measurements, but I am going to just make the most of whatever size these are. So I'll square them off. I hate waste, so I'm literally just going to try and use everything that I've got. So let's get cutting. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the seam allowance, the selvage, sorry. So I'm going to layer these up. I'm going to do these a few at a time. Once I have done that, I'm going to fold them in half. But I'm going to make sure I've squared these off a bit first, so they do end up all being the same. Okay, so this is 45 centimetres tall. And I'll just put it on my mat in this corner here. So it's 45 by 53. I'm not going to worry too much about the width because all I'm going to do, I'll make sure they're all the same, but then I'm just going to fold them in half and I will cut them with the scissors. So I'm going to do that with all of the fat quarters that I've got first. So because this is 45 centimetres, it actually makes it really easy maths. So I'm going to do 15 and 30. I'm going to line it up to the bottom of my cutting mat. And that is this line here. So those are the patches that I'm going to work with. I'm going to cut out all of these and then I will start laying it out to find a pattern that I like. This is how I've laid it out on the kitchen floor. So as you can see, I have got the bottom row, which is 6 wide, and then the top row is 4 wide. I'll share the image here so you can stop at this point if you want to copy my layout. I have got a front piece and a back piece for the bottom tier, and then there's a front and a back for the top tier as well. Apologies that I haven't been able to crop my crocs out of this image without losing some of the picture. So you'll just have to erase that with your imagination while you take note of the layout. I wouldn't usually piece a quilt together on the overlocker, but as this is going to be a dress, a skirt, sorry, and I'm not going to line it, then I think it's just going to be easier to just overlock them together. So I'm just going to go against the blade so it won't have to cut, and I'm just going to go for it. Say that, I'm going to find the right foot. So I'm doing like each row first, so the big and the little bit together. And then I'm going to lay it all out again, make sure I haven't got anything muddled. Okay, so I've done all of these now and I have pressed all the seams down, and I have checked against my photo that I took that I've got them all in the right order still as I was pressing them. I have got 4 lots on the top tier and 6 lots on the bottom tier, so I can gather the bottom tier. So I'm now going to do right sides together. And start putting the tiers together. I always chain stitch, so that just means that I feed one in after the other without cutting the threads, and then I'll cut the threads afterwards. These are already looking amazing. I'm so happy with it already. So I've got 2 longer pieces. This is the bottom tier. So that's these 2. All I need to do with these now, I've pressed them all just to one side, by the way. So I need to join these together on the short edge, and then I will add some gather stitches to the top of this bottom tier. So that's the next thing that I will do. I'm going to add pockets, because what is anything without pockets? I've got a 1 inch wide elastic, so I'm going to turn over about 1/4 inch and then 1 inch, so that will be where the elastic runs. And then if I have a pocket piece at the ready, I want the pocket to go just underneath that, which works out quite well because it just sort of finishes at the bottom of this. So what I'll do is I'll put a snip there. I'm going to make that same snip on both sides of this and the other piece, and then I am going to pin these on and I will stitch them in place. I will then overlock each individual side, and I've already overlocked the edge of all the pockets because I just find that's the easiest way around of doing it. So I will do that and then I'll pin them. So there's the notch that I made on the first bit, and I'm just going to make that same notch on all 4, and then I know where to put my pocket piece so that they all match up. Try and find the right one. With this, I am going to just go to the regular sewing machine. So I will repeat now. Okay, so I have done a 3/8 seam allowance to stitch the pocket on, and then I have finished off this raw edge with the overlocker. I'm going to put right sides together and match up the pockets from each of the top tier. So I will now take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch 5" seam allowance. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make sure I back stitch at this point, sew around the pocket, get to here, back stitch here. So you're going to go just over the stitch you've already done, and then straight down. Then that will be the top tier done. Then it will just be time to literally do the last finishing bits. It comes together really fast, this. That's the pocket sewn in. I have pressed the top edge already, so it's all ready to go while I was ironing. So 1/4 inch and then about 1 inch just over. It's really easy to find the center of this because it's going to be here, and I have already gathered the top part of the bottom tier. So now I need to do right sides together. I'll find the center of the top tier, which is 3, so it's the 3rd one in. I'm going to pin the center point. So I'll start by pinning 4 points of the center point, the side seams. There's a side seam. Sorry, this might not look like it makes any sense. So as far as directions go, you want the pockets to go in the same direction. So they're going to be facing inwards, and then I'm going to make the bottom tier face in the opposite direction. So that is 1, 2, and then this one is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I have now got it pinned at 4 different points, and then that is going to allow me to just gather this as evenly as possible. I will demonstrate with 1/4 because you don't need to see me do the whole thing. So find 2 of your threads. I'll bring that closer. So you need to find 2 threads and just pull. Until this section is the same size as the top tier. Okay, so that's slightly too much. Okay, about that. And then we just need to make sure they're nice and evenly spread. So we're going to just push those gathers down a bit, even them out. Play around with it as long as you need to. I am not overly OCD with these types of things. Some people are. And when you're happy, just pin it in place. I'm going to do that with all 4 quarters. Stitch, overlock. Then I'm going to move over to do this top elastic waistband. I will leave an opening of about 2 inches to feed the elastic through, and then I will come back to you. All I have left to do is to do the elastic and the hem. So I'm just going to show you how I measure my elastic. There is nothing like clever or anything about this. So I'll put this around my waist. And it needs to have a little bit of give where it joins. And then when you've sewn it together, it will have a little bit more. So just sort of get an idea of when it's sewn together, what the overlap will be, and whether you feel like that will be in a comfortable amount for your elastic waistband. So I'm going to cut mine about here. So for reference, I normally wear a size 10 top and 12 trousers, and that is 85 centimetres. This is an elastic threader that I got my husband to 3D print me. So all I'm going to do is push it through there and then back through the other side. And then because it's got these teeth, it doesn't give. I would usually use like a safety pin if it wasn't this wide. This is obviously quite a wide one. So you can just use a safety pin if you don't have one. I just thought this is definitely going to be easier because there's a lot more seams to get through. As you can see, this makes light work of it. Before I get too far, I am going to pin the other end to this so I don't end up keep pulling it through and losing that end and then having to start again. There we go. What I also like about this one is that because it's flat, you know that that elastic has not turned and twisted on its way around. So now that's through, I'll tease it out of this. And I will unclip this side. I'll make sure they haven't twisted, and then I'm going to go and stitch these together. Okay, apologies if the picture's not very good and I can't zoom out enough. I wanted to be able to see and speak to you at the same time. So I did end up taking a bit more off the elastic. So it was, once you felt the weight of the fabric, it needed a bit more. So I'm gonna just dip this down so I can show you. I haven't hemmed it yet. That is the last thing to do. So it is sort of just above the ankle on me. Excuse my socks. And what I have done is I've obviously finished the opening, and I have just put it on over top of my dress. I finished the opening on the elastic guide, but I've also, in the seams, after I've made sure all the gathers are nice and even, so in the seams on each edge, I've just done a stay stitch. So that means that the elastic's not going to move around too much. And I love it. Really happy. I just need to press the hem. You don't need me to tell you how to do that. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully the next images you will see are me wearing it on holiday.